Did you know that you could use heat transfer vinyl on your tumbler? I know. Well, I'm gonna show you how to do it because there are so many amazing heat transfer vinyls out there, and I always see them when I'm at the store and I'm like, if only I could put that on a tumbler, if only I could use that. So last summer, I showed you guys how to use heat transfer vinyl on your decals. However, now I'm gonna show you how to wrap an entire tumbler with heat transfer vinyl. This is my little design. It's so cute. If you wanna learn how to make this, keep watching. I will link everything in the description that I used. Thank you so much for continuously coming back to my channel and watching my videos. You guys are amazing. Please leave me a comment because I do read every single comment. And also, please remember that anytime that you have a tumbler with a topper or an accent like this, you have to be careful with it. You can still wash it and do any normal thing that you would, but it's kind of like if you dropped a sculpted tumbler and it would break, so would this. It's not coming off of there. I mean, it is on here. Like, I can hold up the entire, like it's on there. But of course, if you drop the cup, it's gonna break. So just be cautious of that, but I think it's totally worth it because it's such a unique little touch. Obsessed. Okay, let's get into the video. Start out by measuring the circumference of your tumbler with your heat transfer vinyl, and make sure when you cut your vinyl, make sure you leave about an inch of overhang. We're gonna cut it later, but just do that in case you make a mistake or something, you have a little bit of wiggle room. Now, before we start, I'm gonna recommend that you get some heat resistant gloves. I grew up in a house where I had to flip tortillas with my bare hands on the hot comal. I was not allowed to use tongs. That was frowned upon. So I don't have any more fingerprints, and my fingers can endure a lot of heat, but I do not recommend that for you because it does get really, really, really hot. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna slowly remove a little bit of that clear backing that comes on heat transfer vinyl, and you're gonna go ahead and remove a little piece, like about an inch, and then add heat to the stainless steel. What that's gonna do is, as soon as you lay that vinyl on the cup, it's gonna automatically wanna stick because of the heat. And then just use your sausage fingers to hold it down and continue to add heat on top of the vinyl. Now, one tip that helps is if you use a paper towel to push it down. Obviously, if you're using heat resistant gloves, you're not gonna need that, but I wasn't. So I used the paper towel to help me really press it down on the really hot parts. And basically, you're gonna do this inch by inch. Be patient, okay? Heat transfer vinyl, you have to stick it with heat and pressure, so it's a little bit different than when you're using adhesive vinyl, but do not for a second think that this was hard because it wasn't. Just go inch by inch, do it little by little. I think overall it took me about, 10 minutes to get this completely wrapped, but it really was not that hard. And guys, I know you know what I'm talking about when I say that there are so many beautiful heat transfer vinyl options that very rarely come available in adhesive vinyl. And every single time I go to the craft store and I look at all the pretty heat transfer vinyl patterns that have glitter on them, I'm like, man, it would be so cool to be able to put this on a tumbler. So why the heck not? Last year, I showed you guys how to use a little bit of heat transfer vinyl on your decal for your tumbler. But this year, I wanted to challenge myself and wrap an entire tumbler. And guys, the finish was very smooth and flawless, and I 10 out of 10 would recommend. So once you get to the part where your seams are supposed to line up, just go ahead and take your scissors and cut off most of the overhang. Obviously, you want to try to keep your line kind of straight. You don't want to have it all zigzaggy and messed up, but it does not have to be perfect because this pattern is glitter, so it has texture to it. And it's like a leopard vinyl pattern. So you are not able to tell where the seams meet. You could tell a tiny little bit, but once you get epoxy over this bad boy and you're distressing, It is way more forgiving than adhesive vinyl, where you would immediately be able to tell where your seam is and that it doesn't line up. But the fact that this has glitter and texture and a pattern, girlfriend and boyfriends, let me tell you, it is just super easy to bring the seams together flawlessly without you really being able to tell where they are. So once I do that, you're gonna do the same thing as if you were using adhesive vinyl on the top and the bottom. You wanna trim your excess on both. And what I did, just to make sure that I was, covering my bases and making sure that I really protected that rim and get a good seal, I took my heat gun and applied heat to the very top and made sure that I pressed in that vinyl into the very rim to make sure that no epoxy got under there. I did the exact same thing at the bottom. You saw me burn my finger just now on that stainless steel. That's why the paper towel was helping me, but you're gonna be smart and you're gonna use heat transfer. You're gonna use heat resistant gloves. Unless your mom made you flip tortillas on the comal with no tongs when you were little, then be careful. So then I took my X-Acto knife and just removed all of that excess vinyl from the rim. And just like you would, if you were using adhesive vinyl, other than having to use heat and pressure to apply, there's not much more difference. Look how pretty that is. Oh my Atlanta. You don't have to seal it with any product or anything like that, but of course you can if you want to do it with Mod Podge. I went in and added 30 mLs of epoxy, let that spin overnight. The next morning, I came in with my X-Acto knife and cleaned up all of that epoxy off of the rim. And then I angled my X-Acto knife and removed a tiny little bit of epoxy and a little bit of that vinyl from the very top rim. And the reason we're doing this is to expose a little bit of stainless steel so that when we go in with our other coats of epoxy, they're going to go ahead and go right over the vinyl and they're going to really grab on to that stainless steel. And you want that for a long lasting, durable product, okay? That's going to ensure that no moisture ever gets underneath that vinyl and compromises your product. Now, I took a sanding block, 100 grit, and I very lightly sanded because remember, we've only got one coat of epoxy over this, so we don't want to sand too much and damage that vinyl underneath. So I did a very light sanding on top and on the bottom. And this is how I always clean my cups after sanding them. I have a little spray bottle with 99% alcohol. I spray it all over, clean up with my paper towel, okay? And then we were ready to move on to our next step, which is to add distressing. I wanted to add some, actually, that was a lie. Okay, don't embarrass me in front of my friends, you stupid video. Sorry, guys. What I meant was, we're going to paint the bottom of the tumbler and we're going to add glitter. Now, I don't want to say that I got lazy. I want to say that I got creative and wanted to find a shortcut. Now, I saw Jessica Flynn remove part of the bottom of the stainless steel tumbler and fill it in with epoxy and glitter. And I thought, I want to try that, but I don't want to remove the bottom stainless steel. Just because knowing myself, I'll probably cut one of my fingers off trying to force that thing off. I tried a little bit and it was kind of hard to get it off. So I was like, I don't want to lose a booger hook today. But also too, we're using different brand of tumblers and stuff like that. So maybe it was just a little bit more challenging for me. She is an absolute queen. So everything she does is flawless and easy. I'm the Wish version of a YouTuber. So I was like, you know what, let's play it safe and let's just put epoxy right over this. Okay. So I took some UV resin in a little medicine cup and I put a few little pinches, scoops of glitter on there. Now, this is a very beautiful metallic teal glitter from Maestra Creations, of course. And what I did is I went very slowly and started pouring little by little on top. I mean, well, technically it's on the bottom, but we flipped it to be top up. Oh gosh. I'm so good at explaining things. Anyway, so the reason I am going slowly is because I only want this this UV resin and glitter to stay on the very bottom part of the cup. I do not want it to drip down the sides in any way. So be patient, okay? Be patient. And it didn't take me very long to do this. I don't know, I would say like about a minute or two. I sprayed it with alcohol. Look at those bubbles pop. Pop, pop, fizz, fizz. And then I took my UV light. Of course, I'm gonna link it as well. And look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Hard as a rock like my muscles. Okay, that's what I would say if I was in shape. I mean, I am in shape. It's just a round shape, but still, hey, round is a shape, okay? After I let that bottom cure, I took some chalk paint and I put it on my silicone mat because, you know, why waste a paper plate when you've got a bomb-ass, dope-ass, manifest that shit, you know, silicone mat from me. Myra makes it. That's me, guys. That's me. I have my own silicone mat. What? Oh my gosh. Sorry for the curse words, guys. I should probably go back and bleep them out. I do say that my videos are not for children, and I do mark that on YouTube. So hopefully nobody looking at Coco Melon videos is going to end up here listening to me say manifest that shit. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a paintbrush. I like these paintbrushes that are kind of like, that have those like rough bristles, because normally, even though I gravitate for soft bristles, in this case, I'm using these rough bristles because it's going to give it that like wooden texture. It's kind of hard to explain, but a soft brush would leave more of like a clean stroke. This one leaves more of like lines in your stroke, so it kind of makes it look a little bit like wood, or at least I think it does. That's just my humble opinion, but who the heck am I? So I basically just took turns with the different colors and did little paint strokes, you know, here and there to create that like distressed, old barnwood type-ish, vibe-ish look. And you can do this as heavy or as light as you want. I didn't want to go too heavy on the coats because I wanted you to be able to sort of see through them. But anyway, I just kind of chose the areas where I wanted those paint strokes to go. You can do as many colors as you want or as little as you want. I don't know. I guess you could say it's kind of like a reverse crackle method because, you know, normally you do the crackle method to make it look like, you know, cracked wood and to reveal that pretty texture or glitter underneath. In this case, we're kind of doing it reverse a little bit. Anyway, I'm just rambling, but you guys get the point. Once you have that how you want it, we're going to move on to the next step. For this, we're going to need a tacket and a smaller brush, okay? We're going to need a heat gun and we're going to need heat transfer foils. I will link them. And these are from Artistic Painting Studio. She has such incredible options. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a very small amount of tacket in the areas where I want to put that foil. And I am going to brush it on and then apply heat. Once it's, you know, completely clear, I go over it and I put my foil down and I'm going to add heat again. Now, if you don't have your heat resistant gloves, you might want to get a paper towel to rub down that foil just because it does get pretty hot and it does burn your sausage fingers. And if you want to be able to pick your nose peacefully for the rest of your life, you don't want to burn them off. Okay? So be careful. So basically you're going to repeat that process over and over until you're happy with exactly how your tumbler looks. I'm not going to put you guys through the pain of watching me do that over and over. You guys get the point. So once I was done with that, I went ahead and moved in to my epoxy. I didn't seal it with anything. I just went straight from the paint and the foil straight over to the epoxy. Now, I know I normally do time lapses, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I like to do my epoxy. So I like to let it drizzle over the tumbler, and with one finger, I very gently spread it around. I don't like to put my whole hand on the cup because my hand is heavy and I can get pretty clumsy and I don't want to push down on that cup or else I'm going to, you know, it's perfectly level. The sponge is perfectly in the middle. And if I put too much pressure on that cup, it's going to kind of move and become unlevel, therefore getting a fupa like me. And you don't want that, okay? So just be gentle with your finger and just kind of, once you know you have the entire cup coated, start at the bottom and just raise your finger up as the cup turns to ensure that you don't miss any spots. Pop your bubbles, let it spin overnight. And then we're gonna come back. Here you see me showing you my little charm that I got at Hobby Lobby. It was a little pricey, but they have a lot of more affordable options. If you are doing this for a customer, this is an extra element. They need to pay extra for this, okay guys? So don't look at that price and say, oh my gosh, you know, because it's an extra. And it's kind of like when you buy a car and you add extras, everything costs money. So, you know, if they want an accent like this, you got to charge extra for the extra work and for your materials, okay? Okay, queens and kings, know your worth and charge for your talent and for your time, not just for your materials. So there you saw me kind of placing my decal and my little skull at the top, just because I wanted to know exactly like where to place it. You guys also know that I love placing my decal when my cup is standing up to get it straight. I sealed with epoxy. I did 30 mLs and I let it spin overnight. And then the next morning I came back to place my little skull head, okay? Now we're gonna apply this with UV resin. I promise you, this thing is on there. It is not coming off, okay? It's kind of like me to Bad Bunny. He's not getting rid of me. You're not getting rid of this little skull unless you smash it against the floor. So I put a pretty generous dot right in the center. You want to be careful not to put too big of a dot because it is going to spread out when you push that skull head down. And hold it down and then use your UV light and hold it at an angle. The reason you want to hold it at an angle is because you want it to cure that UV resin and the skull is not transparent. So that UV light's not going to penetrate that to get down into the UV resin, which is why you need to hold this light at an angle, okay? Once I knew that skull head was on there, because UV resin cures instantly, I spent about 3 minutes you know, moving the tumbler in different directions and holding that UV resin light on top at an angle because I really wanted that UV resin underneath to cure really good so it can have a very strong hold on that skull head. And I'm going to show you guys in a minute that it is absolutely on there. I mean, I made sure that it was completely cured and that it was not going to come off. So here you're going to see me grab the little skull by the horn. And you're gonna see me, you know, let it carry the weight of the entire tumbler. Like I was trying to swing it without dropping it, but guys, it is on there. I mean, it is not coming off. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave me a comment below. I love reading your comments and I'll see you guys soon.